Assalamualaikum and good morning. Okay, I think we can start now. Okay, so the 10:11. Okay. So today we are going to continue with lecture 4 on IBS content scoring system or IBS score. Okay, so before we start, let's recap what we have learned for the past 3 weeks, which I asked you to watch a few videos on each topic. There are three topics that you have learned for the past 3 weeks, okay, which cover the types of IBS, okay, starting with steel framing system, okay, so and then after that you have learned about timber framing system, okay. In timber framing system, I hope you will give more emphasis on glue lamp, okay, glue laminated timber, okay, which one of the innovation that has been done in timber industries. Okay, so the reason why they want the construction players to use glue lamp because we have a lot of resources, as you all know. Timber industry is one of the largest income to our country. Okay, by selling the timber product to other countries and so on. And we want to see the usage of timber on a bigger development. Okay, so on the bigger structural system. Okay, because previously we only see the application of precast steel on big scale projects or large scale project. But by having the option of using glue lamp, we hope that the construction players in Malaysia could utilize the glue lamp that we have in our country lah. Okay, so actually we have developed one pilot project using glue lamp in Tebrau, Johor. It's as exhibition center lah, which 100% using glue lamp. So hopefully in the near future we can see more and more usage of glue lamp in our country lah. Okay, so and the last part, which is last week, you have learned about block work system and also innovative system lah, okay, which cover all the types of IBS. Okay, so today we will be back using Google Meet, okay, whereby you are going to learn about IBS score, okay, which is one of the important topic for you, especially for your assignment, which you need to submit. I don't remember bila nanti I check lah. Okay, you have to submit later. Alright, so I'm going to show you what are the requirements that you need to know before you can start calculating the IBS score, how you're going to calculate it, and so on lah. Okay, the slide I uploaded last week on IBS content scoring system, but the previous slide there is some mistake on it. I already made a little bit changes. And I already uploaded a new one yesterday. Okay, kalau you baru download today, it's okay lah. Kalau you dah download awal last week, perhaps ada sedikit perbezaan later on. Okay, can you see my slide? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, alright.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Boleh nampak je.
Boleh nampak, sir.
Alright. Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, today we are going to continue with the new topic, which is IBS content scoring system, or in short form is IBS score lah. So what we are going to do today, okay, before you're going to have a look on what you need to know about IBS score, we are going to have a brief introduction on the concept of buildability. Okay, what is buildability actually? Okay, later I'm going to show you, and then after that we are going to move on to the IBS score. The objective of introducing the IBS score in Malaysian construction industry. Okay, the principle involved, the rules involved before you can start calculating the IBS score, and then I'm going to show you 2 examples on how you can apply the IBS score in real project. And of course, today's topic is more on calculation. I'm going to show you, I am going to explain to you theoretically on how to apply the formula. However, I believe that without exercising the application of the formula is quite difficult for you. So that's why next week we are going to have exercises on how you can apply the IBS score in real projects lah. Okay, so hari ni in teori dulu. Next week kita akan tengok on practical lah, macam mana nak apply. So hopefully by next week you will get a better understanding on how you can apply IBS score lah. And the last part of today's lecture, I'm going to show you how Singapore did in successfully implementing the biddability concept. Or actually biddability ni is IDF lah sebenarnya. Dekat Singapore dipanggil biddable, okay, ataupun concept of biddability. So we can see most of action taken in Singapore is quite similar to us. Okay, most of the action taken by CIDB, especially in Malaysia, lebih kurang apa yang Singapore buat lah. So kita tengok macam mana how Singapore did in successfully implementing the concept of biddability or IBS in their country. Alright, for introduction, let's have a look on the concept of biddability. Okay, so before we go into detail, on how we can define how we can define biddability. So we can have a look on why we need to introduce the concept of biddability in our construction project. Okay, what are the main problems involved? Okay, so the main problem is that usually design details are sometimes very difficult and even impossible to construct. Okay, so this is one of the issues that have been faced, especially by contractors. Okay, because who made the design? Of course, the architect. Okay, the architect will design whatever they want. Okay, without considering the problems that the architect will face on site. Okay, so they orang as an architect, they doesn't care or they doesn't care whatever problem that the contractor will face on site. What they know is that whatever they design on the piece of paper or on the computer will be translated into reality. Okay, susah ke senang ke, they didn't consider. Okay, apa yang mereka tahu, what they just care is that whatever they design must be translated into reality. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, so why this problem has been occurred? Okay, because there is a fragmentation between designer and also construction practitioners, architect and also contractors lah. Fragmentation ni maksudnya ada pengasingan. Okay, fragmentation also means that during the design stage, when the architect develop their design, they cannot have direct communication with the architect. Okay, they cannot ask the contractor, if I design like this, can you do it? How difficult to do it? Okay, something like that. They cannot have a direct communication. The main reason why they cannot have a direct communication because of contract. Okay, you have learned about procurement method. Dah belajar kan? Berapa lah belajar procurement method? Dah belajar belum? Anyone? Yang ada design and build, tengki, traditional method of procurement. Dah belajar lah?
Dah kot.
Dah kot, ada.
Dah.
I'm not sure which code yang you belajar BCM berapa dah. I'm not sure. Tapi I believe you have learned it in procurement method lah, regarding procurement method. So procurement method is more on tendering stage. Okay, how you're going to select contractors and so on. Alright, so if you're using traditional method of construction, of course, traditional method of procurement, of course, you cannot have a direct communication with the contractor. Okay, because you don't know which contractor will be selected. Okay, there are many contractors will be sending their tender and so on. So you do not know. which contractor. So you cannot have a direct communication, except if you are using a design and build procurement. Okay, design and build, or yes, you can have a direct communication with the contractor. Okay, so you can ask the contractor during the design stage, okay, if I design like this, can you do it? Okay, maybe the contractor can give some ideas. Okay, maybe they can reduce the problem that they are going to face on site lah. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, because of fragmentation. Okay, because we cannot have a direct communication between architect and also contractors during the design stage. So how can we solve this problem? How can we create what we call it as an indirect communication? It means that whatever design made by the architect can be completed by the contractors without major problem, without many problems. Okay, so we can create the indirect communication by implementing what we call it as the concept of visibility. Okay, so what does it mean by the concept of visibility? Okay, it's about the share of responsibility, okay, of all those disciplines who constitute the multidisciplinary building team, including architect, engineer, surveyors, building contractor, subcons, and not the individual responsibility of the architect. Okay, so construction project is a teamwork. Okay, so that's the key ingredients of the concept of visibility. Okay, teamwork is about the share of responsibility. All the parties involved, all the organization involved in the construction project must be responsible. Okay, for example, the architect, of course, the main responsibility of the architect is to design. Okay, janganlah dah siap design, dua tahun lepas tangan. Okay, tak kisahlah apa nak jadi on site. Janji apa yang aku design siap. Okay, kita tak nak macam tu. We don't want that like that. Okay, the architect must be responsible for their design so that they can monitor the contractors to transform or to translate the design into reality. Okay, it's a shared responsibility lah. Okay, that's the key ingredient of the concept of visibility. And in other words, visibility also can be defined as the ability to construct a building efficiently, economically, and to a great quality level from its constituent materials, components, and sub-assemblies. Okay, these three elements here relate with the implementation of IBS. Okay, so in other words, the concept of visibility encourages you to use IBS. It means that when you use IBS in your construction project, indirectly you can have the communication between architect and also the contractors. Okay, because IBS is about standardization, it's about simplicity. Okay, so they try to make it try to reduce the problem that the contractor will face on site lah. Okay, so that's the idea of the concept of visibility that has been widely used in Singapore. Okay, so they call it as a concept of visibility. Or in other words, it's all about IBS actually. Okay, so that's apa yang dimaksudkan dengan konsep of visibility. Okay, there are a few principles of visibility that the architect and also the contractor need to consider. Okay, designer, contractor, constructor, okay, architect or contractor. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, these two organizations are the two key players in the construction project, architect and also contractors. Okay, kalau architect tak design, contractor tak boleh nak buat kerja. Okay, so kalau ada design, contractor tak ada pun tak boleh jalan. Okay, so these two are very important component ataupun organization in the construction project. However, they cannot have a direct communication. Okay, except as I mentioned earlier, if you are using design and build punya project. Okay, if you involve in design and build project, you can have direct communication. You can discuss between designer and also between architect and also contractor. However, if you involve in the traditional method of procurement where you need to select contractor from 10 contractors, katakan daripada 10 yang tender, you kena pilih yang terbaik. Okay, you cannot have that direct communication. Okay, so because it has been separated by contract. Okay, this is what we call it as fragmentation tadi. Okay, fragmentation. Alright, fragmentation. Alright, pengasingan. Dia diasingkan oleh kontrak, dipisahkan oleh kontrak. Okay, so in order to have indirect communication, so that whatever design produced by the architect can be completed by the contractor without major problem, we can create indirect communication by considering the principle of feasibility. Okay, so as an architect or as a designer, you need to design based on 4 principles, okay, which are function and performance, buildability, aesthetic, and also cost. Okay, you need to design something that has a function. Okay, tak boleh nak design something yang without any reason. Okay, design letak satu area kat situ sebab apa? Sebab cantik je. Tapi tak ada function, tak ada kegunaan. Okay, so architect kena reduce the element. Okay, architect need to find something that has a function. Okay, not only aesthetical value only. Right, and the architect also need to consider the usage, the idea of buildability, which is about IBS. It means that they need to design based on the requirement of IBS. Okay, using IBS component, tak kisahlah guna steel ke, guna timber or glue lamp or precast, whatever. So they need to consider the use of IBS in their design. Okay, so of course element of aesthetic ni kita tak boleh nafikan. Okay, this is one of the key principles of architect lah. They need to design something that has the aesthetical value, and they need to consider about the cost also. As an architect, previously most of the time they would design whatever they want without considering the cost. But with the implementation of the concept of buildability, they cannot ignore the principle of the cost or the element of the cost in their design. So they need to consider, if they design like this, how much it will cost to the client or to the project. Okay, so if it's too expensive, perhaps they can readjust their design to make it more cheaper. All right, so that's one of the principles that they need to consider. Okay, when they finish their design based on these 4 principles, and then we are going to select the contractor, and the contractor must complete the design based on the 3 principles that they need to follow. Okay, which is agreed quality level. Okay, whatever stated in the drawing specification, the details, the contractor must follow accordingly. Okay, don't try to cheat. Okay, in terms of, for example, like the design asks you to use grade concrete grade 30. Okay, follow accordingly. Okay, jangan nak kurangkan grade concrete sebab nak reduce cost dan sebagainya. Alright. So of course, the design has been made based on IBS. So as a contractor, you also need to complete your project using IBS. Okay, jangan pandai-pandai tukar jadi conventional method of construction. Okay, itu yang jadi banyak masalah dan sebagainya. Alright, and of course, the contractor, if possible, must complete the project within the approved cost. Okay, jangan try to find ways on how to incur the cost so that the contractor can get more profits. Alright, so this is how you can integrate the element of or the concept of buildability in your construction project. Okay. Okay, so in terms of design characteristic of the concept of buildability, they can be referred as a 3S in your design characteristic. Okay, the first S is standardization. Okay, so remember IBS is all about standardization. Okay, we are looking at the repetition of grid. Okay, untuk horizontal and vertical grid. Okay, or layout. Okay, if possible, repeat it as much as possible. Okay, for example, like floor to floor height. If you're involving in a high-rise project, okay, floor to floor height kalau boleh 100%, repeated the height dan sebagainya. Okay, sizes of the component. Okay, I think Sir Reza have explained to you about MC, modular coordination, which refer to the Malaysian standard 1064. Okay, we have a standardized size for almost all building components, including column, beam, slab, door, windows. Okay, kita ada standard size. Okay, so kalau boleh follow as much as possible. Okay, katakan kita pakai, we are using 200 beams in our project. If possible, 100% the size of the beam is equal or is similar. Okay, sama kalau boleh, if possible lah. Okay, jangan too many sizes lah, you make it difficult. Connection of detail, alright. You have learned a lot of type of connection depends on the type of ABS you use. Okay, macam precast kita ada pakai grouting dan sebagainya. Okay, steel kita ada pakai bolt and nut, bolted or welded connection. Okay, timber pun sama, yang kita ada pakai tenon and mortise joint, itu yang traditional way lah. Mostly we are using bolt and nut connection. Okay, so if possible standardize the connection details. Right. The second S is simplicity. Okay, ini bukan produk City ya. Okay, simplicity is make it simple. Okay, for example like uncomplicated building construction system. Okay, try to make it simple. Okay, so as you all know, IBS is always concerned about the element of simplicity. Okay, tak nak make things complicated. Okay, in terms of connection dan sebagainya. Okay, simple installation. Okay, jangan susah sangat nak install dan sebagainya. Okay, actually if you're using IBS, it's quite simple in terms of installation, erection and so on. And the last S is single integrated system. Okay, you need to have a lot of single integrated system in your construction project. What does it mean by single integrated system? Is element that combine components together. For example, like prefab toilet unit. Okay, I think Reza explained. Masa precast kita ada volumetric unit. Okay, kita ada semi volumetric, kita ada volumetric unit. Okay, dalam bentuk toilet unit. Okay, toilet yang kita dah siap dekat kilang, pasang siap-siap the wall, the finishes, the services, piping dan sebagainya, sampai kat site, hantar kat site, kita letak je terus toilet unit tu. So that's why we call it as a single integrated system. It's one of the example lah. Okay, so other features that we need to consider when using the concept of mobility is, again, some of it is quite similar or relate to these 3S, the usage of component, employment of modular coordination in dimension, okay, MC, standardized column and beam sizes, okay. This one is repetition of grid, as I mentioned earlier, vertically 100%, horizontally at least 60%, okay. Column and beam group and confined to few sizes, ini repetition. Okay, column and beam. Even nowadays, some of the manufacturers in Malaysia can produce column and beam that has been connected at the factory. Okay, kita dah siap sambung dah column dengan beam kat kilang, hantar kat site tu pasang. Alright, so that's one of the example of single integrated system as well. Okay, column and beam sitting directly on kapal cap, rough foundation system, toilet as I mentioned earlier, precast staircase, mesh of reinforcement. Okay, mesh sizes, standard size for windows and doors. Okay, that's some of the features that you need to consider as well when you're designing using the concept of buildability. Okay, next, here in the next slide, I'm going to show you some comparison between unbuildable and buildable design. Okay, firstly, we have a look on the structural system. Okay, the comparison between unbuildable and buildable structural system. Okay, remember, structural system made of 3 component. Okay, apa komponen yang membentuk kita punya structure? Combination of what? Anyone?
Beam dan kolom ke, sir?
Beam, kolom, lagi satu, ada 3.
Wall.
Wall is different system.
Roof.
Roof is
Slab.
yes, slab. Okay, roof is also part of structural system, tapi dia one entity. Okay, tapi untuk structural system yang combine 3 adalah column, beam, and also slab. Okay, itu yang berbentuk kita punya structural system. Okay, roof is one entity for structural system. Wall is different system. Okay, so ini example of unbuildable structural system. Okay, as you can see, traditional way of constructing your column, constructing your beam using traditional timber formwork. Okay, how messy your site is. Okay, serabut nampak kan? Alright, so if you're applying buildable design in your structural system, okay, for example, you're using flat plate. This example is integrated precast column and beam, as I mentioned earlier. Dekat kilang kita siap combine dah. Okay, column dengan beam ni. Okay, sampai kat site pasang saja precast slab, precast beam. Okay, your site is more tidy, your site is more neater, and your site is more cleaner and more safer when you use buildable design. Okay, this example using precast. Okay, this one using steel. Okay, steel construction using for structural system. Okay, your column and beam using steel, even your floor slab, also flooring system you also using steel, and you can use formwork system. Even though formwork system is one of the least IBS system, okay, sebab dia ada element of traditional kat situ, tapi still side dia tak adalah serabut sangat, okay, more the finishes is more better than using timber formwork, okay. So another system is wall, okay, comparison between unbuildable and buildable system. It is traditional brick wall. Okay, you can imagine you lay the bricks, okay, floor by floor. Okay, kalau you project, you high rise project, katakan 20 tingkat, 30 tingkat, 10 tingkat ke, you nak lay satu-satu tingkat. That's why it takes longer times to be completed. Okay, compared to using buildable wall system. Okay, so you can, of course, most of the example is precast lah. Okay, so nowadays, because of advancement in technology, we can produce precast component with architectural finishes. Okay, even you can produce coloured precast facade wall. Okay, dah siap cat dekat kilang, hantar kat site tu pasang je. Okay, of course normal punya precast facade wall. Even you can produce precast facade with aircon ledge. Okay, dah siap tempat letak aircon. Alright, so you can produce as well in the factory. Alright, and the last one is features. Okay, comparison between unbuildable and buildable features. Okay, this is the traditional features that been made using formwork. Okay, for your staircase and for your bay windows. Okay, compared to buildable features. Okay, nowadays we can produce even precast balcony. Of course, this one is normal lah, precast staircase, precast bay windows, boundary wall pun boleh pakai precast dah, meter chamber pun dah boleh pakai precast. Okay, that's some of the comparison between unbuildable and buildable design. Okay. Alright. So far, any question before we move on to the important part of today's lecture, which is IBS core. Tak ada, kita boleh move on. Okay, before we go into detail about IBS core, okay, let's share you a little bit history on IBS core. A little bit history of IBS core. Why the government introduced IBS core in our country? Okay. I believe you have learned about the history of IBS in Malaysia. Okay, I believe Sir Reza explained during the first lecture, history of IBS in Malaysia, whereby in 1964, our government sent representatives from JKR and also KPKT to European countries to learn about the IBS technology. Okay, and then they bring back and constructed 2 pilot projects in late 1960s. Okay, which involve the development of flat Jalan Pekeliling and flat in Penang, Jalan Padang Tembak. Okay, rifle place tak saya nama dia. Okay, so from that moment, the usage of IBS has been increased from time to time, but at slow pace lah. Okay, walaupun banyak benefits when you use IBS, tapi penggunaannya masih rendah, masih kurang. Okay, maybe during that time is too expensive. Okay, but later in late 1990s, early 2000, the government has decided that this construction method of IBS is the way forward for our construction industry. Okay, this is the better option for us, for Malaysian construction industry, to use IBS. Okay, because it's a lot of benefits you can get. You can reduce the dependency on foreign workers and etc. Okay. So, from that time, 1990s, early 2000, barulah government kita, which of course with the effort from CIDB, introduce a lot of mechanism, initiative, okay, incentive, okay, to promote the usage IBS in Malaysia. Okay, masa itulah diperkenalkan IBS roadmap, okay. Sikala penggunaan IBS start dengan 30%, 50% sampailah 70%. Okay, untuk government project, untuk private project kena guna at least 50% dan sebagainya. Okay, so from there government kita barulah put more serious effort to promote IBS in Malaysia. Okay, late 1990s to early 2000. But after a certain period of time, they noticed that there is a loophole, okay, whereby they make a rule, okay, regulation, they introduce regulation. For example, like every government project must use at least 70% of IBS. Okay, but how can they monitor the usage of IBS tu? Macam ni dia nak tahu sebenarnya kontraktor ni pakai 70%. Okay, they achieve that minimum requirement of 70% of IBS. If you involve in government project, kalau private project kena 50%. Okay, macam mana, how they can monitor? Okay, that's why in April 2005, the CIDB introduced the first version of IBS content scoring system. It's a manual. Okay, so they introduced that so that by having that, the contractor can use it as a guideline to calculate or to measure the usage of IBS in your construction project. Okay, so that's the little bit history of the introduction of IBS content scoring system. Okay, inilah rupanya introduced as a construction industry standard. Okay. So this is the latest version, 2018. Okay, so the first version is in 2005. Okay, and then after that, after 5 years, they revised, introduced a new version in 2010. And after 8 years, they introduced the new one. So we are going to learn using the new one, the new version 2018. Later I'm going to show you apa yang berubah. A little bit adjustment lah yang CIDB buat daripada 2005 sampailah ke 2018. Ini saya dah masukkan dalam U-Future as well. Okay, detail. Ini more detail lah. Okay, but dalam slide saya pun saya ambil daripada sini. Okay, so okay, so that's the relative history on the introduction of IBS score. So what are the objectives of introducing this IBS score in our Malaysian construction industry? Is that they want to provide a well-structured assessment system. Okay, so a proper guideline on how to calculate the IBS score. Okay, so dalam manual tu we set out the IBS score formula, macam mana nak calculate dia, the formula involved, the IBS factor for each building element used. Later I'm going to explain to you what is IBS factor, methods of calculating, how you can calculate, explanatory notes as well as sample calculation. Semua ada dalam manual tu tadi. Okay, which also has been simplified in this note. Okay, saya dah permudahkan dia lah. Okay, it's also intended to provide a complete guidance for every professional to evaluate the IBS score for any building project. Okay, tak ada exemptions. Okay, any building project can use this IBS score. Okay, sama ada you buat rumah ke, bangunan tinggi ke, rendah ke, you boleh pakai this manual. Okay. Okay. So the next thing you need to know is the principle. Okay. Principle ni kena ada dalam project you before you can use this IBS score. Salah satu principle ni tak ada, you tak boleh guna. That's the rule of thumb there. Okay. Ada 4 principles of IBS scoring system which emphasize on, first one, of course, usage of IBS component. Okay, you nak pakai IBS score, you kena pakailah IBS. Itu syarat pertama dia. Okay, dia punya main principles. Okay, kalau your project using 100% traditional method of construction, buat apa you nak pakai IBS score? So tak boleh pakai. So you kena ada at least IBS component. Tak kisahlah. For example like column je you pakai IBS. Ada components lain semua pakai traditional method. You boleh pakai. Boleh apply IBS score. Okay, so at least ada IBS component. Itu syarat pertama. The second principle is that utilization of standardized component based on Malaysian standard 1064. Okay, katakan tadi column you pakai IBS, beam you tak pakai IBS tapi you follow standard size, measure standard 1065. Yes, you can apply IBS core. Okay, tak semestinya kena pakai IBS semua. Alright, untuk gunakan IBS core. Yang ketiga, repetition of structural layout. You must have the element of repetition, either vertically or horizontally. Okay, untuk high rise vertically. Okay, untuk floor to floor height, kalau boleh 100% repeated. Okay, horizontal at least 60% repeated. Ada markah dia dan sebagainya. Okay, and the last one, usage of other productivity enhancing solution such as volumetric modular units, beam or MC, modular coordination. Kena ada salah satu ni. Kalau tak semua ada, at least salah satu ada. Okay, you pakai MC, modular coordination, dalam you punya dimensional system. Okay, you pakai prefab toilet unit, you pakai prefab staircase, okay, or you pakai beam untuk design you punya project. Okay, semua akan merangkumi syarat dia, principles ni. Okay, there is 4 principle that you must have in your construction project. 4 ni kena ada. Okay, previously, okay, ini the first changes made by CIDB. Okay, masa 2005 ada 5 principle. Okay, so apa yang tak ada kat sini adalah you pakai IBS tapi komponen you, especially precast tu, you kena buat off site. Maksudnya semua IBS komponen you kena buat kat kilang, baru you boleh consider untuk calculate IBS core. Walau contoh macam precast kita boleh buat on site. Okay, kita boleh buat kat site. Okay, kalau site space you luas, you boleh buat develop you punya plan area, you buat IBS komponen kat site. Okay, itu kalau you pakai precast. Tapi untuk masa 2005 CIDB agak strict sikit masa tu. Okay, maybe there's mistake from them lah. Okay, dia nak promote IBS tapi kesilapan dia fokus on factory saja. Sedangkan masa tu factory kurang mention. Okay, so masa tu 2005, even though you pakai precast tapi you buat on site, you tak boleh kira, tak boleh guna IBS core. Okay, itu syarat dia masa tu 2005. Okay, so 2005. 2010 dia revise. Dia boleh dua-dua sekarang ni. Masih 5 principle tapi dua-dua ni masih guna. On site or off site. Maksudnya either one. Tak kisahlah you buat dekat site ke, precast you atau buat kat kilang, you boleh gunakan IBS core. Okay, tapi 2018 dia tak letak kat sini. Kat mana dia letak, nanti saya akan tunjuk. Dia buang daripada principle, dia letak kat tempat lain. Okay, so that's the principle that you need to know. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, IBS core ni boleh guna in any type of building. Okay, including residential, sama ada landed or non-landed, commercial building, industrial building, institutional building or others. Okay, any type of building can use this manual of IBS core scoring system. Okay, you dah tahu objektif dia, you dah tahu principles dia. Okay, sekarang ni kita nak tengok the element that you need to know. Dia macam lebih kurang rule of thumb lah. Okay, there are 5 elements that you need to know before you can start calculating the IBS core. Okay, kita belum calculate lagi ni. Okay, kita kena tahu dia punya ingredient tu before you can start calculating the IBS core. Okay, the first thing you need to know, alright, the maximum IBS score for a building is 100 point. I repeat, for a building is 100 point. Okay, if you're involving in the mixed development project, okay, let's say dalam project you ada 5 bangunan, 5 buildings. It means that you need to calculate building by building for the IBS score. Building A berapa IBS score dia, building B berapa IBS score dia, building C berapa IBS score dia, dan seterusnya. Okay, so after that, dah dapat setiap satu bangunan ni, baru you boleh calculate IBS score for the whole project. Ada formula dia, ada cara dia. Nanti saya akan tunjuk. Okay, so you tak boleh kira lump sum terus. Okay, kena kira satu-satu. Alright, so that's the rule of thumb dia. Okay, yang pertama. Okay, So sama macam projek you kena buat 3 tower kan. Tower A, tower B, tower C. So you kena calculate tower A berapa skor dia, tower B berapa, tower C berapa. Okay. Right, the second thing you need to know about IBS score is that it's made up of the following component. Okay, which are divided into 3 main components. Ada 3 komponen yang kena tahu. First one, part 1 is structural system. Okay, structural system, maximum score is 50 point, 50 markah dia untuk part 1. Okay, the largest portion of marks located allocate to part 1, structural system. Kenapa markah dia tinggi? Sebab dekat structural system ni banyak komponen. Dia ada beam, ada column, ada floor, ada roof. Okay, so ada banyak komponen sebab tu markah dia tinggi dekat structural system. Okay, part 2 is wall system. Okay, which the maximum score is 20 points. Okay, 20 markah. Okay, wall system ni macam-macam lah. Okay, ada block work, ada partition, glass, concrete panel dan sebagainya. Okay, and the last part is other simplified construction solution. Maximum score is 30 point. Okay, inilah yang ada standardization tadi. Okay, you follow standard size based on Malaysian standard 10C4, repetition. If you pakai prefab toilet unit, prefab staircase, kalau you pakai beam, you pakai modular coordination, pakai beam, semua kat sini lah dia punya portion of mark. Okay, so as you can see, dia terbahagi kepada 3 part and the portion of the weightage of score is 50, 20, 30. 50, 20, 30. That's the second thing you need to know. Okay. Okay, the third one, before that, before you go to the third element, you need to know also that each part tadi, dia terbagi kepada 3 bahagian tadi, 3 part. Each part have their own, what we call it as a reference table. Okay, kenapa ada reference table? Sebab kita nak identify IBS factor, especially for part 1 and part 2. Ada table di sini, ada IBS factor di sini. Okay, while table 3 untuk part 3, they also have a reference table, tapi table 3 ni dia panggil direct point. Directly you dapat score dia berapa, dan you tambah saja. Okay, so dia lebih kepada bonus point lah untuk part 3 ni. Okay, apa yang dimaksud dengan IBS factor ni? Okay, IBS factor is derived from productivity study conducted by SIDB. Okay, SIDB yang keluarkan. So, it's given to each building element. Setiap building element, building system tu ada dia punya score. Okay, you pakai precast combine dengan steel, precast combine dengan cast in situ atau traditional komponen, ada markah dia. Timber, berapa markah dia, score dia. And IBS factor dia ni adalah between 0 to 1. 1, 0 ke 1, antara tu. Range dia, 0 to 1, factors dia. Okay. So more believable system maksudnya higher factor, makin tinggi factor you. Okay, shorter construction time. Maksudnya projek you lebih cepat lah. Maksudnya lebih banyak you pakai IBS, lebih tinggi factor dia. Kurang IBS, rendahlah factor dia. Okay, itu dia punya scenario dia. Okay. Kita tengok macam mana rupa bentuk table dia. Right. So, ini pun saya dah masukkan dalam new feature. Okay, you boleh tengok nanti. Even yang ni sebenarnya ada dalam manual tu, cuma saya keluarkan untuk senang you tengok. Okay, as you can see ni table 1, IBS factor for structural system. Okay, kalau you tengok range dia semua 0 ke 1. Tak ada lebih daripada 1, paling tinggi 1. Okay, as you can see in this table, ini section untuk material or system yang digunakan. Ini kalau you pakai concrete ataupun precast ataupun pakai formwork system. Ini kalau you pakai metal. Kalau pakai timber, pakai block work, ini innovative system. Ini semua jenis-jenis IBS. Okay, ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 types of IBS. Semua ada kat sini. Okay. So bahagian description ni untuk the next column yang kat sini, ini semua daripada number 1 sampai number 11 is for your column and beam. Jenis column and beam yang dipakai, yang digunakan dalam projek ini. Okay, untuk dari row A sampai G, ini untuk flooring system ni. Slab. A sampai G ni slab. Okay. So from here you can determine the IBS factor for your structural system. Okay. So later I'm going to show you lah. Jangan risau. Nampak macam complicated tak? Senang je sebenarnya. Okay. So this for table 1. Okay, dari table 1A, yang ni for roof. Okay, ini jenis roof system ni. Okay, ada 3 jenis. Pakai preferred timber ke, preferred metal ke, ada scoring dia. Kalau you pakai conventional timber roof truss, kosong lah markah. Okay. Okay, table 2 is for wall system. IBS factor for wall system. Okay, ini jenis-jenis wall yang ada. Okay, ini dia punya factor. Okay. And table 3, kalau nampak nama table ni dia tak panggil IBS factor dah, IBS score. Sebab table 3 ni dia bagi score terus. Okay, yang table 1 and 2 saja yang berbeza untuk IBS factor. Okay, yang ini table 3 untuk IBS score. Directly dia bagi score. Ada dua category of marks, sama ada 2 atau 4, because they define a percentage of usage, 50 to 75%, 75 to 70%. Okay, ini dia punya portion of marks lah. Okay, never mind, nanti kita akan tengok macam mana nak guna table tu. Okay, ini contoh macam mana nak determine IBS factor. Okay, ini you gunakan precast. Everything precast for your structural system. Beam precast, column precast, slab pun you pakai precast. So full precast, IBS factor you 1. Okay, tapi kalau you ada element of traditional, for example combination of precast dengan cast di situ, beam dengan column you pakai cast di situ, maksudnya traditional method of construction. Flooring saja you pakai precast. So IBS factor you akan rendah, 0.6. Okay, so that's how you determine IBS factor. Ini semua boleh dapat daripada table. And later I'm going to show you lah, when kita buat exercise nanti bersama-sama next week, saya akan ajar you macam mana nak determine IBS factor. Okay, if you pakai steel construction, everything is steel, column and beam, flooring system pun pakai steel, IBS factor you 1. Okay, so that's how you determine lah. Okay, never mind, nanti saya akan tunjuk later on, don't worry. Okay, the third element that you need to know is the formula. Okay, formula yang ada. Okay, setiap part ni, part 1, part 2, part 3 ada formula dia. Okay, so you have to calculate one by one, then you kena total lah, campurkan ketiga part. So you akan dapat total IBS score for the whole project. And this is the formula. Okay. Jangan risau, nampak macam complicated, tapi tak susah mana lah sebenarnya, insyaAllah. Alright, so no need to worry, tak ada persamaan algebra ke, persamaan serentak ke, linear ke, tak ada. It's simple math je, tambah tolak kali bagi je. Okay, I'm going to show you example nanti, and bila kita buat exercise, maybe you will get better idea. Okay, the element number 4 that you need to know is that IBS score calculation consider superstructure only. Superstructure work saja. Okay, dalam construction project, there are two main works involved. Substructure works, superstructure works. Substructure work ni kerja-kerja tanah. Okay, atas tanah dan ke bawah, dalam tanah. Basement dan sebagainya. Okay, superstructure work ni kerja atas tanah. Okay, naik ke atas dan sebagainya. Okay, so dia only consider superstructure work saja. Okay, substructure work, kalau you pakai basement, pakai IBS macam mana sekalipun, you will not consider to be calculated as for IBS score. Okay, so you kena consider only superstructure work sahaja. Okay, and the last element that you need to know is that in the case of group of buildings in one project, ini tadi saya bagi scenario, you involve dengan mixed development project. Macam project you sekarang, assignment yang you buat, you ada 3 building in one project. So you kena calculate one by one, and then you kena calculate the IBS score for the whole project using this formula. Ini ada formula. Ini pun nanti saya akan tunjukkan masa exercise nanti. Macam mana nak apply this formula. And then you nak calculate IBS score for the whole project. Lepas you calculate IBS score for each building involved. Okay? Alright, so that's 5 things that you need to know about IBS score. Yang pertama, the maximum score for a building is 100 point. Satu bangunan 100. Kalau ada 5 bangunan, kena kira satu-satu. Okay, yang kedua, you need to know that the IBS score is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, structural system. Part 2, wall system. Part 3, other simplified construction solution. And the weightage score dia 50, 20, 30. 50, 20, 30. And each part, dia ada reference table je. Okay, part 1, part 2, kita gunakan reference table to determine IBS factor. Part 3, we are using the reference table to determine the IBS score. Directly kita dapat score. Yang ketiga is the formula involved. Okay, nanti kita akan tengok macam mana apply formula. Number 4 is IBS score only apply to superstructure works only. And the last one is the formula involved in calculating the IBS score for the whole project. Kalau you involve in mixed development project. Okay. Ada soalan?
Tak ada, sir.
Okay. Kalau tak ada, kita tengok example. There are, I prepare to you, for you 2 examples. Okay. One is a simple project and the second example is a high-rise project. Okay. So on this example, I'm going to show you how you can apply the formula theoretically. Okay. So of course, bila kita belajar calculation ni, kita kena buat exercise. So baru kita boleh nampak kita understanding. So next week, kita akan buat exercise bersama-sama. Alright, don't worry. Alright, first exercise is the transformation of this all automatic workshop into the UM Academy and IBS Center. Okay, it's a 2-story building. Okay, bangunan 2 tingkat. Okay, so this is how you can calculate. Part 1, you have to calculate part by part. You have to calculate first structural element or structural system first. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, it's a 2-story building. So your section in this calculation will be divided like this. Okay, first you need to focus on ground floor. Second, first floor, and third is the roof area. So each floor ni you kena calculate the area. Okay. Length times width, panjang kali lebar in meter square. Okay, that's why dalam project you, dalam assignment you yang saya bagi few weeks ago, saya mention about floor plan. That's why you kena buat floor plan. Sebab kalau tak ada floor plan, you tak boleh calculate area. Kalau tak ada area, you tak boleh calculate IBS score. Okay, that's why saya suruh you buat floor plan. Ada area, boleh calculate area, then baru you boleh calculate IBS score. Okay, so this is the area for ground floor, 2,230. Okay, this is the area for first floor, 1,567. And this is the area for the roof, 2,572. Then you total up ketiga-tiga area ni, then you akan dapat 6,361. And this is the total construction area for this project. Is 6,361 meters square. Okay, so this is the structural system that has been used at the ground floor. Okay, they are using steel beam, steel column dengan precast concrete slab. Okay, kalau you tengok semuanya precast kat sini, semuanya IBS, sorry. So everything is IBS, so IBS factor dia will be 1. Okay, you boleh tengok table nanti. And masa exercise nanti saya akan explain more lah macam mana nak tengok IBS factor. Okay, jangan risau. Okay, first floor, they are using steel beam and column. Kenapa no floor dekat first floor? Sebab this is a 2-story building, bangunan 2 tingkat. Biasanya tingkat atas sekali dah tak ada floor dah atas kita. Okay, atas kita dah turun bumbung. Okay, dah tak ada floor. So that's why no floor. Okay, so ada juga section dalam table tu nanti. Nanti I explain to you later. Okay, 1. Okay, 1 juga. Okay. And roof, you boleh refer to table 1A. You boleh dapat preferred metal roof truss, IBS factor dia 1. Okay, semua ni dapat daripada table. Okay. Kali sikit. Right. Next column, you have to calculate coverage. Apa yang nak kena calculate? Coverage ni is a portion of each area ni tadi. Okay. You ambil area for ground floor 213 divide by total construction area 6,361. Okay. Ground floor area divide by total construction area 0.34 you akan dapat. And then you ambil first floor punya area divide by total construction area. Okay, sama. You akan dapat 0.25. And then you ambil roof area divide by total construction area. You akan dapat 0.4. Okay, and after that you total up ketiga-tiga ni. Tambahkan. Okay, you akan dapat 1. Okay, this is one way that you can check your calculation. Make sure bila you tambah coverage ni semua mesti dapat 1. Okay, kalau tak dapat 1, something wrong with your calculation. Okay, so kalau lari sikit tak apa, 0.99 ke 1.01, sebab bila you bundarkan perpuluhan ni maybe ada lari sikit lah. Okay, so total up 3 ni mesti dapat 1 kat sini. Okay, tak kisahlah berapa floor you ada, 18 ke 30 ke, total up you akan dapat 1. Alright, kalau tak dapat 1 ada something wrong dengan calculation. Itu yang pertama you boleh check. Okay, so far okay? Boleh?
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Alright, so next column you baru boleh you calculate IBS score dia. Okay, macam ni nak calculate IBS score, you ambil coverage punya ni 0.34 times IBS factor and then you times 50. Why 50? Anyone?
Sebab superstructure.
Lain? Bukan sebab superstructure. Lain? Kenapa kena kali 50?
Structure system.
Ha?
Structure system.
Tak dengar?
Structure system.
Okay. Sebab dia structural system, remember rule nombor 2 tadi, weightage score dia 50, 20, 30. Maximum score untuk part 1 structural system is 50. 50. That's why you kena times 50. Okay, itu weightage untuk part 1. Sebab tu kena kali 50. Okay, so times coverage 0.34 kali IBS factor kali maximum score dia 50, you dapat 17. Yes, IBS score for ground floor. And next untuk first floor, apply sama juga. Coverage 0.25 kali dengan IBS factor 1 kali dengan 50. You akan dapat 12.5. Untuk roof, sama juga, ambil coverage ni 0.4 kali dengan IBS factor 1 kali 50. You akan dapat 20. Dan you total up 3 ni, you akan dapat 49.5. And make sure dapat yang ini mestilah kurang atau sama dengan 50. Kalau you dapat lebih 50, 52 ke 60 ke, again adalah kesalahan calculation di sini. Sebab apa kena dapat less or equal 50? Sebab maximum score part 1 50 je. Tak boleh lebih. Okay, kalau you dapat lebih ada something wrong. Calculation ni. Okay, tu dua cara you boleh check. Satu dekat coverage ni, satu dekat total IBS score ni. Okay, that's part 1. Okay, ada soalan? Boleh? Kalau yang tak faham lagi, tak nampak lagi, jangan risau. Nanti masa exercise, saya akan tunjuk more lagi. Okay. Alright, boleh
Boleh.
Alright, next kita akan calculate part 2, which is wall element or wall system. Okay, wall system is divided into 2, external and also internal wall. Dinding dalam, dinding luar. Okay, so untuk projek yang contoh ni, UM Academy ni, dia gunakan a variety of wall system. Ada pelbagai. Okay, so dinding luar dia, biasa dinding kita bangunan rectangular kan. Okay, dinding luar dia, maybe belah sini dia pakai precast block. Belakang ni maybe pakai metal cladding. Depan ni maybe dia pakai full height glass. Belah kiri ni maybe dia pakai prefab timber panel untuk dinding luar dia. Okay, so you kena kira perimeter in length dalam meter. Okay, maksudnya panjang dinding ni berapa? Yang dia pakai precast concrete block ni. Maybe kat sini dia calculate dapat 108. Okay, and then panjang full height glass ni berapa? Maybe 152 meter dia kira. Okay, panjang prefab timber ni maybe 24 meter. Okay, metal cladding belakang ni maybe dia calculate dapat 96 meter. Ni semua dalam meter, perimeter. Okay, ini dia sebab dia pakai pelbagai. Okay, pelbagai jenis wall. Okay, maybe dalam projek you pakai satu jenis je. Kalau satu jenis je tambahlah semuanya. Perimeter. Okay, sini sampai sini berapa meter, yang ni berapa meter, yang ni berapa meter, yang ni berapa meter. Totalkan. Okay, kalau pakai satu jenis wall saja. Kalau pakai pelbagai, you kena tengok berapa panjang. Okay, sama juga dengan internal wall. Okay, dia pakai 4 types of internal wall. Okay, untuk dinding dalam. Okay, panjang berapa dan sebagainya. And then you total up. Okay, and then you akan dapat total wall length 1363 meter. Okay, so this is bila dah ada ni baru you boleh start calculate. Okay, that's why saya emphasize masa you nak buat assignment kena ada floor plan. Okay, floor plan you boleh calculate construction area, you boleh calculate the wall length. Okay, you kena ada dua ni baru you boleh start calculate IBS score. Kalau tak ada tu macam ni nak calculate IBS score. Okay, that's you identify IBS factor. Okay, refer to table 2. Okay, tengoklah jenis-jenis wall. Replica concrete block berapa IBS factor dia. Okay, semua ni boleh dapat daripada table 2. Okay, boleh nampak daripada table 2. Okay, next coverage sama konsep macam tadi. Okay, macam first part tadi. Yang ini you ambil coverage untuk precast concrete block ni 108 divide by total wall length 1363. Okay, you akan dapat 0.08. Okay, next repeat the same process, metal cladding panjang dia 96. Total wall length 1363. Okay, repeat the same process sampailah kat external wall ni prefab timber panel. And then you total up semua ni, make sure dapat 1. Again, sama. If you get more or less than 1, something wrong lah calculation kat sini. Okay. And next IBS score dia, ambil coverage ni 0.08 kali dengan IBS factor 1 kali dengan 20. Kenapa kena kali 20 sekarang pula? Anyone?
Sebab part 2 punya calculation untuk IBS score 20 point saja.
Yes. Okay, sebab part 2 maximum score dia 20 point saja, 20 markah saja. So that's why you kena kali 20. Itu yang berbeza dengan yang part 1. Cara calculation dia dah sama dah. Okay, apa yang membezakan adalah kat sini nanti,
Part
20 ni.
Setiap part 1, 2 dan 3.
Okay, itu berbeza dia. Alright, so kali ni you akan dapat 1.6, total up you akan dapat kat sini 15. Again, make sure kat sini kena less or equal than 20. Alright, kalau dapat more than 20, adalah kat mana silap you punya calculation. Okay, so that's two way you can check your calculation lah. Okay, boleh? Ada soalan?
Boleh sir.
Boleh Alright. Last part is other simplified construction solution. Okay, yang ini terbagi kepada 3 bahagian. Okay, standardized component, repetition of structural layout and other prefab component labor saving devices. Ini nama lain sebenarnya, ini table baru. Okay. Ini semua ada dalam table ni. Dah tukar nama. Ada productivity enhancing solution. Table 3 ni tadi. Dia terbagi kepada 3 bahagian. And there is portion of percentage dia. Okay. Okay, kat sini dia pakai semua standardized component, beam, column, slab, door, window semua lebih 75%. So markah dia 45. Sorry, markah dia 4. Okay, ambil yang bahagian sini. Okay, dia lebih 75. Okay, untuk floor to floor height sebab dia 1 or 2 story building 2 and dia pakai staircase dengan toilet 2. Okay, so ambil directly point dia. So you total up, you akan dapat 30. Yang ini senang lah. Okay, you just campur semua je, dapatlah 30 kat sini. Okay, untuk part 3 there is possibility that you can get more than 30. Ada possibility. Sebab kalau semua markah penuh and dia tambah lagi pula, dia pakai contoh. Dia pakai beam, tambah 3 lagi, dia pakai modular coordination, MC, tambah 4 lagi, you akan dapat 37 kat sini. Kalau you ada beam dengan MC tadi. So walaupun you dapat 37 contoh, you hanya boleh ambil 30 sahaja. Okay, so part 3 ni ada possibility untuk lebih. Tapi you still boleh ambil maksimum 30 sahaja. Okay, kalau you dah dapat lebih tu baguslah. Tapi kena ambil 30 sahaja. Tak boleh letak 37. Okay, ini untuk part 3 lah. Okay, sebab dia bonus point dia panggil, direct point lah, senang sikit untuk part 3. So, your total lah 3 part, you akan dapat IBS score for this project is 94.5 points. Okay, boleh? Ada soalan senang tak?
Boleh.
Okay, nampak macam senang kan? Senang
Nah,
Boleh calculate lah untuk projek you ni.
Nah.
Saya nak tanya,
Hmm.
kiraan untuk dinding pen.
Ha?
Kira center ke atau luaran je?
Center to center.
Oh, okey.
Ha.
Thank you.
Dia tak kisah sebenarnya janji dapat length meter sebab dia it's not, tak adalah sebab beza dia tak banyak pun kalau you kira center to center ke ujung tu tak ada masalah. Okay. Alright, second example saya tunjukkan is a high-rise project. Tadi just a small project, 2 tingkat. Jadi ini high-rise project is a 18-story condominium. 18 tingkat. Okay, which each story, each floor have 6 unit of condominium. Ada 6 unit of condo. Okay, and dia ada lift lobby area juga. Okay. So ini detail je. Construction area dia, area for 1 unit condo 94.4 meter square. Satu unit ni 94.4 meter square. Okay, lift lobby area 140 meter square. Okay, so area for 1 floor dia ada 6 unit 94 kali 6. Tambah dengan lift lobby area 140, dia akan dapat 706.4 meter square. Ini area for 1 floor. Satu tingkat ni 706.4 meter square. Okay, structural system dia pakai tunnel formwork. Okay. Roof truss dia pakai prefab steel roof truss. Okay. So internal wall dia pakai block work, external wall dia pakai tunnel formwork. Okay. Wall at lobby pun dia pakai tunnel formwork. And this is the length. Okay, 25.2, 41 untuk external, 17.3 untuk wall and lobby. Ini ada simplified construction solution dia. Door dengan window je dia pakai size yang standardized, ikut Malaysian standard, 100%. Okay, repetition of floor to floor height 90%, vertical repetition of structural floor layout 80%. Okay, staircase 100% prefab staircase. Okay. Okay, kita kira part 1 dulu. Okay, dia pakai tunnel formwork. Construction area dia satu tingkat 706.4 meter square tadi. This is a 18-story condominium kali 18 akan dapat 12,715 meter square. Okay. Kenapa? Ada yang baru nak join ke? Lukman ke? Lukman. Okay. Kenapa dia boleh kali directly 18? Sebab size dia dah standardized. Setiap tingkat size dia sama. Ini sama juga macam projek you. Okay, you kena buat 30 tingkat kan? Okay, kalau size you tak standardized, you akan ada 30 row. Banyaklah kerja you nak calculate. Okay, tapi kalau size you standardized, satu tingkat tu kali je 30. Okay, senang. Okay, maybe sebab you buat service apartment. Maybe tingkat bawah, ground floor sampai tingkat 3 atau tingkat 4 tu, different design. Maybe area dia berbeza sikit. Sebab maybe you buat shop lot dan sebagainya. Okay, maybe daripada tingkat 4 sampai 30 tu baru standardized sebab dia apartment. Okay, so size dia sama, design dia sama dan sebagainya. Okay. Roof truss, dia pakai prefab steel. Okay, area dia 706. So you total lah 13,421.4 meter square. Okay, IBS factor, tunnel formwork 0.5. Okay, yang ini yang antara perubahan yang dibuat oleh CIDB. Previously, IBS factor for tunnel formwork is 0.6. Tapi CIDB kurangkan jadi 0.5. Okay. So untuk roof, IBS factor dia 1. Okay, coverage, this one divide by total construction area, you akan dapat 0.95. Roof, okay, divide by total construction area, you akan dapat 0.05. Total up, dapat 1. Okay, IBS factor, this one, coverage kali dengan 0.5 kali dengan 50. Okay, dia akan dapat 23.75. Sama juga dengan ni. Coverage kali IBS factor kali 5. Dia akan dapat 2.5. Total up, dia dapat 26.25 untuk this project for dia structural system. Okay, 26.25. Okay, part 2, wall system. Okay. Internal wall dia pakai aplikasi blockwork. Length internal wall 25.2. Ada 6 unit. Ada 18 tingkat. Okay, kalikan. Dapat 2,721.6. External wall, 1 unit 41.6. Ada 6 unit, ada 18 tingkat. 4,000 lebih dia punya wall length for external. Wall at lobby pun sama. Okay. 17.3, ada 18 tingkat. So ada 18 lift lobby, 311.4. So total up dapat 7,400 lebih meter for the total of wall. Okay, length of wall. Okay, IBS factor dapat daripada table. Ini semua daripada table, 0.5. Okay, sama coverage yang ini bahagian ni. Okay, dapat 0.36, 0.59, 0.04. Total up, make sure dapat 1. Okay, dan ambil coverage ni kali dengan IBS factor kali dengan 20 untuk wall system. Dia dapat 3.6, 5.9, 0.4. So total up dapat 9.9. Make sure less or equal than 20 to part 2. Okay, and part 3 dia tak banyak. Dia punya standardized component 100% door dengan window saja, 4 markah, dapat directly daripada table 3. Duplication dia 90% 2, vertical 80% pun 2 markah, prefab staircase dia pakai 2 markah, dia dapat 14 saja untuk part 3. Total up dia dapat 50.1, 5 saja untuk point dia. Okay, 50.15 point untuk this project. Quite low lah. Okay, kalau government project fail lah. Okay, sebab government project kena more than 70. Tapi kalau private project, okay lah. Sebab private project dia kena at least 50% IDS. Okay, ada soalan? Sebelum kita masuk ke the last part.
Tak ada sir.
Okay, boleh? Okay, last part ni just for your knowledge lah. I just want to share with you based on Singapore's experience on how they can successfully implement the concept of buildability ataupun IBS lah dalam arti kata lain. Okay, kita tengok macam mana Singapore buat. They first introduce the concept of buildability in 1991. Okay, dia ikutkan lebih awal lah daripada kita. Okay, so masa ni dia pakai CIDB lagi nama kat Singapore, tapi selepas dia tukar jadi BCA, Building Control Authority. So now kat Singapore dia panggil BCA. Okay, so masa 1991 ni they introduce the concept of buildability, then they develop Buildable Design Appraisal System, BDAS, a scoring system to measure the potential impact of building design on the usage of site labor. Okay, so definition dia quite different tapi konsep dia sama. It's a scoring system macam kita punya IBS score, IBS content scoring system. Okay, konsep dia sama, cuma nama dia berbeza. Okay, Buildable Design Appraisal System. Dia perkenalkan. Okay, and then they promote, and then they introduce Best Buildable Design Award to give recognition to designers and contractors. Okay, siapa best design gunakan IBS, siapa dapat markah tinggi dan sebagainya, dia bagi award, bagi recognition. Okay, they want to create awareness among the construction players in Singapore. And they want to encourage them to use IBS in their country. Okay, so after 10 years, the Buildable Design was legislated in Singapore in 1st January 2001. So daripada sini kita nampak Singapore ambil masa 10 tahun, 10 years to give a knowledge to their construction players, to create platform to their construction players to get familiar with the IBS, so that after that barulah diwajibkan. Okay. So they apply semua untuk semua projek yang ada gross floor area 5,000 meter square. 5,000 meter square yang ke atas kena wajib gunakan IBS in their country. Okay, untuk renovation work pun sama. Okay, extension or addition. Renovation work pun kena 5,000 meter square ke atas. Tapi dia ada pengecualian untuk places of worship, masjid atau temple dan sebagainya. And special utility maybe ada element of confidential macam kerajaan punya bangunan ke, tentera, military ke sebagainya dikecualikan. Okay, and then dia ada prosedur dia kena submit, ada ikut prosedur, and dia kena ada scoring system dia. Nak submit tu kena submit sekali dengan scoring system. Okay, kalau tak okay dia akan reject. Okay, kena submit sekali dengan scoring system. Itu membezakan kita dengan dia. Okay, dia introduce code of practice. Okay, dia panggil code of practice. Macam kita dekat Malaysia, kita pakai term CIS tadi. CIS, Construction Industry Standard. Kita CIS. Okay, dia pakai code of practice. Okay. So dalam code of practice dia ada lebih kurang macam kita scope legislation, responsibility, submission procedure, design appraisal system, macam mana nak calculate, apa weightage dia, semua ada dalam tu. Kecuali yang kita tak ada adalah minimum visibility score. Yang ini kita tak ada lagi. Okay. Kat Singapura dia ada proper. Okay, nanti saya akan tunjuk. Okay. Dia sama point dia, part dia, tapi point dia berbeza 50, 40, 10. Okay, ini perbezaan dia lah. Alright, so dia bagi pada 3 part, tapi weightage dia berbeza, 50, 40, 10. Ini masa 2001, pada peringkat awal. Singapore introduce this scoring system. Okay. So apa yang dimaksudkan minimum visibility score ni? Okay. Masa 2001 dia ada minimum visibility score for each project category of building. Okay. Untuk setiap kategori of building dia ada minimum score. Okay. Kita ambil contoh satu sajalah, residential landed, dengan fokus yang lain. Okay. So residential landed, kalau you punya project size area you 5,000 ke 25,000 meter square, you kena dapat minimum score 52. Kalau lebih daripada 25,000 meter square, you kena dapat 55. Okay, maksudnya kat sini, kalau you submit building plan you, okay, untuk dapat approval, you kena submit building plan. Sekali dengan scoring system ni, katakanlah you submit 50 je kat sini. Okay, so your proposal will be rejected. Sebab apa? Tak capai minimum requirement ni, 52. Okay, how strict Singapore is lah. Okay, so kat sini starting ni. Kalau kita tengok kat Malaysia, kita terus 70, terlalu tinggi. Tapi dia start rendah dulu, 52. Okay. Selepas tu, after 5 years, dia revise. September 2005. Okay, kalau tadi kena project start 5,000, sekarang ni start 2,000 meter square dah start. Kena ada scoring system. Okay, kita fokus satu je, residential tadi. Kalau tadi kat sini 52. Okay, kalau tadi kat sini jadi 55. Okay, sekarang dah naik 59, kat sini jadi 62. Dah naik. Okay, dia dah naik kan. Okay, and in 2005 dia kenalkan kategori baru for ANA, Alteration and Additional Works. Ini for renovation works. Okay, kerja renovation pun kena ada minimum score dia. Pun kena pakai ABS. Even you buat kerja-kerja renovation. Okay. After that, 2007 dia revise lagi, 2008 dia revise lagi. Okay. Dia fokus kat sini tadi 62, 65. Okay, tadi 52. Okay. Tadi 55. Dah naik. Okay, tak sampai 2 tahun lepas tu dia revise lagi. Jadi 65, 68. 2008. Okay, naik lagi. Dah naik. Berapa ni? 13. Okay, selepas beberapa tahun. Maka dia naik. And then 2015 dia revise lagi. Okay, dah jadi 78, 81. Dari start 52 dengan 55 tadi. Okay, dah naik. Okay, and in 2015 dia revise the scoring system. Weightage dia dah berbeza. 45, 45, 10. 50, 20. Kita tadi dia start 50, 40, 10. Jadi 45, 45, 10. Okay, kenapa part 3 ni senang sikit dia markah dia bagi? Sebab part 3 ni paling senang nak score. Sebab dia pasal standardize, ikut repetition. Okay. Sebab tu CIDB letak 30 sebab dia nak tolong orang kita supaya dapat markah banyak kat sini. Okay, tapi Singapura tahu kat sini senang, dia letak 10 je. Okay, so that's the difference lah. Okay. And I think this one the latest. Okay, saya tak sempat check lagi. Yang terbaru lah, tahun 2020 ni, maybe tahun lepas ada yang terbaru. So far as I'm concerned, yang ni the latest lah. So 78, 81. Tak ada perubahan daripada tahun sebelumnya. Sama. Tapi apa yang membezakan adalah kat sini. Dia ubah kat sini. So maximum score dia dah jadi 110. Dia tambah part 3 ni kepada another point. 10 point. 20 lah. Jadi, tapi maximum score dia jadi 110. Okay. So, in 2017 ni juga dia perkenalkan new category for basement. Okay, 68. So, maksudnya sekarang sub-structure work in Singapore dah boleh calculate guna IBS score. Okay, kat Malaysia kita consider superstructure saja. Tapi kat Singapore dia dah consider juga untuk basement work, untuk substructure work. And scoring dia kena minimum 68. Okay, so that's the difference lah. Dia Singapore buat in a proper way lah, sikit-sikit dia naik. Okay. Alright, so that's all. Ada soalan? Any question? Ya. Ya.
Doktor tak ada spesifik minimum kena berapa kan? IBS score.
Untuk assignment? Tak ada.
Tak ada, okay. So kalau dapat below 50 ke, terima je lah.
Terima je, tak ada masalah. Saya
Okay.
tak ada letak minimum requirement.
Betul.
Hmm.
Design plan tu kan nak detail yang nampak
Floor plan je. Farid.
floor plan ke yang macam menggambar tadi tu yang sebenarnya.
Pasal detail tu saya tak concern sangat. Saya concern pasal area je. Janji ada detail dimension dah, cukup lah.
Okay.
Okay, baik.
Sebab saya bukan nak tengok design tu cantik ke tak. Saya, of course lah ada elemen kat situ. Tapi yang penting, you boleh calculate area tu. Tu yang penting. Sebab you kena dapatkan area tu baru you boleh calculate IBS score. Okay? Ada soalan lain? Okay. Yang ni saya dah masukkan dalam island juga. Island lagi. U-Future. Okay, ni exercise untuk minggu depan. Okay. So, kalau you tengok floor plan yang saya buat ni simple je. Tak adalah detail sangat. Okay. Nak kena letak gambar katil ke apa ke tak payah. Okay. So, kita akan buat bersama-sama next week. Okay. Tapi, maybe you boleh try dulu. Okay. Try dulu buat. Kalau tak faham tak apa, jangan risau, nanti next week saya akan guide you. Tapi at least my advice is kalau boleh, if possible, you can try it first. Apa yang based on saya explain tadi, maybe you boleh tengok macam ni nak calculate, nak ambil apa dan sebagainya. You boleh try it first on this exercise, and then next week kita akan discuss bersama-sama lah. Yang ini saya tertinggal lah, patut ada dimension di sini, miss. Yang ini 1000. Kat sini ni 1000 yang ni 1000, lupa letak. Okay, detail lah. Exercise tu ni of course saya tak explain lagi, you tak boleh buat lagi lah. Ni IBS score for project. Ini nanti saya guide. Ni senang ni. Next week. Okay. Bila kena submit lah assignment, saya pun tak ingat. 22 Januari. Oh, lama lagi. Sempat 2 minggu je. Lebih kurang 2 minggu, 3 minggu je. Okay, ada soalan?
Tak ada.
Boleh
Tak ada.
Tak ada.
Okay. Alright. If there is no more questions, I think I can up the session today. Thank you for your time and commitment. And don't forget, next week we will do the exercise together. Okay, again using Google Meet. I will share the link later lah dalam U-Future. And don't forget to take your attendance for today. Okay, take care and stay safe. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.